Hey, all right, and I'm live here once again. In Your Head Wrestling Radio presents the Jackie Jones Show. That would make me Jackie Jones. Hell yeah. Now, normally this show is always free for all the live folks out there, but I usually then put it for members only after it's live, so all the fine folks of the Headyverse who help support the channel and help support the website can check it out. Now, every month or so, I'm going to do a live version for all the folks out there so they can understand and see what you get if you help support the show. So this episode will be free for everybody live and afterwards. So help and get this out there. Hit the like button and subscribe. Join the membership. And help spread the head and share it out all over the social media pages. All right, so here tonight, I am going to go over, it's a big night of wrestling here, Saturday, July 5th. It's the 6th, technically, right now. I won't get, look, technically, I would still say it's Saturday. Technically, it may be Sunday, but if you're up all day, it's still that day until 5 a.m. Now, if you go to sleep and you wake up, then it's the next day. Those are the rules of time for Jackie Jones. And if you disagree, then, you're wrong. I know some opinions can't be wrong, but sometimes they can be. Happy Saturday, peeps, by Travis Sandell. Happy Saturday, my buddy, my pal, my amigo, my compadre. So, SummerSlam. Now, I used to get the Peacock for free because on my cable. And then they stopped doing it for free, and it's like $5. You know, that's cool. But because I had it for free so long, they offered it to me for $3 a month. So you can't beat that. I will say I've seen people say, I'm not going to pay for this anymore. But honestly, if you're a wrestling fan at all, because I'm not a huge WWE fan, I don't even watch the TV show. But if you're a fan at all, $3 is crazy. But this is the world we live in today. That the idea, now think about this, when you were a kid or you're in your 20s and you'd buy a pay-per-view, it was like $50. Maybe back then it was $30. The idea that you could pay $3 a month, you get all the pay-per-views, you get every wrestling show that's ever existed. You get all these other specials they put up there. You get other shows for $3. I mean, come on. If you watch one thing on there, you're paying for it. And I'm not here to be the spokesman for WWE, but I mean, come on, folks. It's $3. And at the most, I think it's $5. Without ads, maybe it's more. But anyway, SummerSlam. Now, I am going to, first of all, say something that's not defending me. It's kind of an attack on myself. Now, because sometimes I'll see people, and I've done this myself, they'll say so-and-so's on this show, and I'll be, who? who? And so I'm kind of guilty of putting that out in the world. I think I was really the first person to do it. I think someone on Conan's show does this, but if you check the archives, look it up, folks. I've been doing it for almost 20 years. So I'm guilty of this. But there comes a point. So if you never watch AEW, if you never watch New Japan, if you never watched any of these shows, Impact, and in my case, I don't really watch WWE anymore. So the point was, if a guy is out there who's been wrestling for 5 years or under, and he only wrestles on a program you never watched, you really can't be like, who? Because that's on you at that point. Otherwise, they're only supposed to hire, guys from when you personally watch wrestling. So if you stop watching wrestling in the 90s, which some people I know have, you can't be like, who is this guy? He's not Sid Vicious. I don't know who that is. That's not Das Wunderkind Alex Wright. He's just a bum, this guy. The point is, obviously you don't know who they are if you never watched your show. So I'm just going to put that out there. Because there's some people on this show, especially in the Battle Royal, I had no earthly idea who they were. Now, is that WWE's fault? Can I be like, they've got these guys on here I'd never heard of? No, I know it's my fault because I stopped watching the television 4 or 5 years ago and only watch the pay-per-views. And now I've got kind of out of the habit of that. I haven't watched the show since WrestleMania. So anyway, so I'm putting that out there as not an excuse, but I'm just saying I'm going to judge this show on how I felt, but also in perspective that I'm not someone who follows the show every week. So if you follow it every week, you know where the storylines are going. You know the characters better than I would. All right, so SummerSlam. I will say someone I do know very well is Booker T. I've known this guy, not personally, but I've known of him for, I don't know, 30 years? God, that sounds crazy. But the first time I saw him was in Global Wrestling. The Ebony Experience, great tag team. I was a huge fan of the team. I was really happy when they had their big shot in WCW. And then they moved up the ranks, became perennial tag champs, and then Booker T became world champ. And I was into all of this. Went to WWE. He had some really memorable stuff there. Five-time. Loved it all. The King Booker. More of a comedic character, and I like that. He went to Impact, and I really think he coasted, and I think anyone would probably, if you really look at it, it's probably true. But whatever, he went there for the money and all this stuff. Comes back, on and off wrestling and stuff. Spin-a-Rooney, all this stuff, great stuff. Becomes a commentator. As time goes on, gets a little annoying. Now, anytime I listen to him, I'm starting to think Booker T could possibly be the most annoying man in the world. He never says anything funny. He says really dumbass stuff about quack, quack, duck, duck, shucky, ducky. I'm like, what in the hell is this man talking about? And he's laughing hysterically at his own stuff. It's not good. Plus, these pre-shows, and I've been saying this for a long time, before I quit watching, they're horrendous. And I said the same thing about one of the AEW ones because they started to go this route. On a pre-show, if they have matches, I enjoy it. If it's all this fake roundtable stuff where they're like talking and like they're not breaking character, and I don't expect them to be out there and say this guy's a good worker and this guy's booked to win. Obviously not. But when they're sitting around for an hour, giving their predictions on the show, and probably all Marty knows you win stuff. It's rotten. It's very rotten. So I should know this by now, not to watch these. But I look at the time, it says it comes on at 7. I get home at 7. I'm thinking SummerSlam's going to be on. And I get this damn pre-show. It's horrible. All right, so we get some in a little bad mood. But and then I see Kid Rock's going to be on the show. I'm like, good Lord, Kid Rock. But we get in the show. Logan Paul comes out. A guy I have no earthly idea about besides he has a following on the internet. And I go into this match not wanting to like it. But I'm the most honest man in all podcasting, and I have to say, this was a hell of a match. Very fun. Logan Paul, for a non-wrestler, even for a wrestler, but for a non-wrestler, he's doing all this crazy stuff. Now, I will say people go too far and say he's a better wrestler than like 90% of the wrestlers today and stuff like that. That's not accurate, because he does a match or two a year. And I remember RVD talking about this back in the day when people would like go crazy over the stuff Shane McMahon was doing. And yes, it was impressive and it's fun to watch. But you have to have some perspective on this. Shane McMahon would have 1 or 2 matches a year. He didn't have to wrestle the next day. Normally, the wrestlers, especially back then, were wrestling 5-7 days a week. Even today, they're wrestling multiple times a week. Or even once a week, but every week for years and years. If you have one match, and then you could go and do whatever you want for months, you could do a lot of crazy shit and then go heal up. I remember his very first match, he like broke his body apart. He was shattered. Well, I don't know about that far, but he like tore stuff. And so he could go recuperate for another match. So all I'm saying is, yes, he deserves credit. I think he obviously loves wrestling. He's got a lot of charisma, a lot of personality, a lot of ring presence, can do a lot of cool stuff. But don't go overboard. The guy's not, Harley Race. He's not Ric Flair. He's not even RVD. He's not the greatest wrestler today. He's not better than 90% of the people. He is its own thing, though. He's got a following. I recognize that. I have no idea who he is. If I knew about him before, I'd probably be even more interested. Going in, I wasn't interested, but the match won me over. I know Vic Schiavone's daughter, Faith, is, she's infatuated with the man. This is like, James Dean to her. It's like the Beatles. She's, screaming, getting up in the air. And, I'm sure if I knew who he was, but I don't know. I'm an old dude. I'm like, who the fuck is Logan Paul? And probably people watching like, what are you, living on a rock? Well, kind of. But all that aside, him and Ricochet just put on a great match. Again, anyone out there, I've heard people who, just go on and on about all the flips in AEW, but also put over Logan Paul. This match was very much like an AEW match. Tons of dives. Not just AEW, though. That's what I want to say. Modern wrestling has lots of dives and flips. So if you don't like that, that's fine. But you can't pinpoint one promotion that does it when it's really all of wrestling that does it. The arena looked amazing. The place was packed. Well lit. It's a cool setup. I don't really know about, using this 60s rock tune, or not 60s, but this, whatever. That's fine. And it was like all these cars. I didn't really understand that. It was like a Matchbox ad. But the show looked great. Something that I even noticed in this match, and then I thought, well, it's my imagination. There felt like this weird fake crowd noise, like this just roar all the time, like, ah, the whole time, no matter what was happening. I was like, it just seemed off, but I could see the crowd was into this match. I'm not saying the crowd was into it. They were pumped. They were throwing babies in the air, screaming at all the spots. But even in between all the cheers, there was just this roar. And as the show went on, it became more obvious. They have this weird, and I don't really understand the point of it, fake crowd noise. It reminiscent of when they had the Thunderdome stuff. Not the old Mad Max movie, but the Thunderdome era of WWE during COVID. And they had that fake crowd roar. And I at least understood the necessity of it then. Today I don't understand it. When you have a hot crowd, and so it just adds more noise, and it seems weird because most of the show is really hot. So you already have real crowd reactions. You don't need this weird roar. It really became obvious really right away for me. But later on in the Shayna Baszler match, where everyone was just sitting there, but there was still this, and then you could even hear the a guy going, boring. One dude yelling over this roar of the crowd. It's very weird, very weird. Again, I haven't watched WWE for a while, so hearing all their catchphrases and terms that people don't use, even just like universe, is very weird. I never really got used to it anyway, but being like out of it for a while, very strange. Logan Paul was so apparently the ring announcer is Ricochet's real life lady, and so Ricochet at one point was out there like teasing her like I'm gonna beat up your man, blah blah blah, and the commentator's like, oh man, he's gonna take his woman. That was pretty fun. Logan gets tons of heat. And I know when they first brought him in, they tried to have him a babyface, but apparently he's like a hated guy on the internet, so he gets a lot of heel heat. So that's a right move to have him as a heel. Just very exciting. Lots of really dangerous flips and dives. I'm not anti-dive and flip, so I like this. It's fun to watch. Then I really thought Sami Zayn came in and passed brass knuckles to Logan Paul, and I was like, what is happening? Last time I watched WWE, Sami Zayn was the most over guy in the show. He was the hottest person in WWE. Maybe the most over wrestler in all of wrestling. Now, not only does he not have a match, he's given brass knuckles to Logan Paul. But no, he wasn't even on the show. It was just some guy, I guess, like some roadie or something. So anyway, I actually like the finish. I know some of our live chat, which we do a live chat on the Facebook group, IYH Wrestling, and some of them didn't like the finish. I liked the finish because it was classic heel using the brass knuckles, and I, as a not necessarily purist, because I like to do modern wrestling, but I do like the idea that a non-wrestler has to cheat to beat an established wrestler. So Ricochet has trained his whole life and is in WWE, and he's the baby face. He shouldn't get out wrestled by guys who only had a couple matches. So I'm not saying to make Logan Paul look like a total bum, which he didn't, but to have him cheat to win, I like that. So a good finish in my opinion. So then we had a cool video package for Cody and Brock. WWE's the best at this. AEW's finally starting to do some more of this stuff, which is a big plus. But especially for someone like me, it used to be when I watched all the shows, I would get a little annoyed by all the video packages because I'd seen them, all the time. But when you haven't seen it for a while, it's a big plus because especially today's pay-per-views, because it used to be you had to go out of your way. I'm paying $50 for this. The odds of you never watching anything besides a pay-per-view are probably pretty slim. But now on Peacock, you kind of have to also use. It's weird, but you want to use the pay-per-views also to promote people to watch your TV shows, which is kind of backwards of old school thinking. But you also have to realize that some people like me might not watch the show, so they're going into these matches cold. But if you have the video package, you get the gist of why this match is important. And so I kind of knew anyway, but this was nice, Cody and Brock. The third match, the rubber match, I like this. This is something they kind of got away with. It's real just basic storytelling stuff, but I noticed a few tonight and on AEW, the idea of we've got to win the rubber match. That's just like real classic sports stuff. You would normally only do a third match if the first two matches were split. One guy won one guy won the other, or girl. There'd be no point in doing a third if someone already beat you twice. So I like this. Brock Lesnar and Cody. Again, so, I don't like how Cody laughed, blah, blah, blah. But I will never not like Cody as a wrestler. I think he's fantastic. This was just an awesome match. Brock is fucking jacked beyond belief. He looks like, if you really look, I'm not a guy who hates anyone who's 200 pounds or even a little lighter. I like a mixture in wrestling, but that doesn't mean I don't like a great big badass guy either. I think it's best when you have a nice mix of wrestlers. And no one looks more impressive than Brock Lesnar. If you really could just sit and carve, like, what is the best looking wrestler? I don't mean he's handsome. I don't say he's ugly either. But just body-wise, the way he moves, when he carries himself, it would be Brock Lesnar. As I said in the chat, Brock Lesnar to me it's like the Warlord was good. Because the Warlord looked awesome. But he was not good. I remember watching his matches as a kid. And I was a guy who watched everything. But if it was him versus like the Anvil or something, it would be like, I don't want to watch this. It's just these guys like hitting each other's forearms. And no personality to speak of. You could kind of hide him. You could hide him in the tag team. That was fun, but singles guy. But Brock Lesnar, so he's got that fucking massive look. Can move. Looks like he's killing folks. He can do power moves to the giant guys. I love it. It's awesome. And then you've got Cody, the ultimate baby face. A little sickening. A little sickening. He gets on my nerves. Everything is melodramatic, but wrestling, a lot of stuff is over the top. But he comes out there with like all this gear, and he's kissing the babies, and I'm like, oh my god! But the match starts, and it was awesome. Just a real bad beatdown by Brock, just real perfect storytelling. This is long-term storytelling. You got Cody. You thought he was going to win the world title. He wins the Royal Rumble. He wants to win the title. The title his father never won. He doesn't do it. I honestly thought it was the right decision. And looking back, I still think it's the right decision. Because then afterwards, instead of immediately getting a rematch like some people thought, he's got to work his way back a year later. Now, it hasn't happened. Maybe that's not what they're doing. But I'm predicting that's what's happening. So you spend... most of the year, the rest, not the rest, but months out of the rest of the year, half of the next year versus Brock. And then, then I assume this will be the end of the Brock feud because they shook hands after and you never see Brock do that. I personally think the next one will be with Randy Orton because there was an interview where Cody really put over Randy Orton as a guy that helped him. And they've got the history and legacy was him and Ted DiBiase, which I don't think we'll probably see. And Manu, which you never hear about. And so I think that might be the next feud if he's healthy enough to come back and wrestle Cody. So then you could do that for the next 3 months. Same thing, just real basic stuff. Cody wins or Randy wins, and then the rematch, the other one wins. And then the third match, you have a gimmick match to see who wins the feud. And then that would probably just about bring you to the Royal Rumble. You tell a story, Cody wins the Rumble again, 2 years in a row. This is his second year in a row to do what his father never could do. By then, you're also doing, you're coming to the end of the bloodline stuff, he beats Jay again, Roman. Maybe the other guy turns on him, the blonde dude, whoever. So fresh matchup, the rematch, another story to tell, and that would probably be the time for Cody to finally win the world title. We'll see though. That's just what I think. Who knows? I don't know. It could be something completely that no one even sees as happening. Hello from Johnny Videos. Hello, Mr. Videos, Mr. Johnny. It's Johnny. I like this guy. Travis Sandow. It's Saturday to me. Saturday night's all right for Travis. Saturday night's all right. We had a battle royal, and I feel bad, but I don't want to keep saying I don't watch the show very much, but I didn't know a lot of the people in this. And some of the guys I did know, like I used to be a fan of Rick Boogs the few times I saw Rick Boogs. And I remember seeing him last year in the Rumble, and I was like, oh, wow, I really like this guy. He has a lot of potential. And he was one of the first guys thrown out, like he's a nothing. They really built this around Omos. I will say Omos has definitely improved since I've seen him. I really thought he was the absolute pits when last time I saw him. And he's not good. Don't get me wrong, but he's not as embarrassing as he was. And I like the idea of the big guy in the Battle Royal. Again, that's basic storytelling. A lot of people need to throw him out. Maybe you could just have him win. The thing is, They always used to be, when I was a kid, Andre the Giant won all these battle royals. But then it became like, oh man, it's the big guy in the battle royal. How's anyone else going to, win? And then they would always get thrown out. And when's really the last time a big giant guy won a battle royal? Like what? Big John Studd at the Royal Rumble in like 88 or something? Like seriously, no big giant guy ever wins a battle royal. I think it's time to start having him win. So if you want to do these battle royals on the pay-per-views to get everybody on the card, why not have Omos win them? It gives him a big win, and it's not like a big singles victory over someone who's like good or something. Have him the king of the battle royals. He wins a bunch of battle royals. It's too late now. He lost this one, but why not? Then it would be a big deal when someone does throw him out in a future one. It would have been an easy thing to do. But we had LA Knight win. Who crowd really into. I know fans are huge LA Knight fans. And I know a lot of old wrestlers are too, like Steve Austin wanting to come back to wrestle him. So I don't know a lot about him I feel bad saying, but I saw a lot of potential there. I remember some other guys that people talked a lot about, and I saw them, and I was like, I don't really. All right, I guess, but LA Knight has a lot of star power to him. So, who's the other? Not Enigma, not Question. Theory was a guy. Everyone said that, and every time I saw him, like I don't think he's bad or anything, but to me, he's just like he's just a guy. He's a okay wrestler, very average at everything. A guy that is fine at everything, but doesn't stand out anything to me. So I never got the hype for him. Karrion Kross. Honestly, he's another guy everyone was, going insane for. And I saw him and I was like, he's fine. I don't know. I don't really see much in him either. But LA Knight is the guy I do see a lot in. Rousey versus Baszler. And I was actually looking forward to this because I thought the build was good. I think the storyline's good. I like the idea that, Baszler's like always like underneath Rousey. People would ask her like, oh, isn't that nice that Rousey brought you along to wrestling? I like all this stuff. I was a big fan of Shayna Baszler in her NXT run. I liked how she worked like the body parts. It was a different style of wrestling. I really liked Ronda Rousey's debut match, and I like a lot of her stuff. Even people didn't like it. Her last run that I've seen, what I've seen, has not been very good. So this was an MMA rules match. And I'll be just honest, it was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Usually fake MMA stuff's just bad. Because wrestling itself is supposed to be what MMA would be if it's real. Right? I mean, the guys are of any type of background or in there and they're trying to win. So why would it be different? I guess the idea is like you can't use the very, very mild differences. You can't break with the rope stuff. So they went in there and they just did a really boring fake MMA match, which for some reason looks way faker than a wrestling match. It's kind of like when they do fake boxing matches. It always looks so bad. And this is just bad. The crowd hated it. But then you still heard that weird roar of this weird crowd, this fake crowd roar. It really was obvious in this one, but even a boring chant. And I felt bad because Baszler's there with the big, she gets the victory, which I was happy about. I like Shayna Baszler. And she's up there celebrating. All I could think of, in her mind, she'd probably think this is leading to something else. But I think after this match, it's not going to lead anywhere. Because I think, people in the back oh, well, we can't really do anything with her. Unfortunately, it might not all be on her, but it's the style match. I don't know. This is not good. Plus, I don't know if Baszler really has it to be a big baby face. I don't know. I like babyface versus Rousey maybe. But even that didn't work here. But I don't know. Who else would she be a babyface against on the regular show? Gunther and McIntyre. I was really looking forward to this. I'm a huge Gunther fan. I like Drew McIntyre too. These are two big badasses who are very physical, and I like this style of wrestling. I like, again, people think I like just these flips and stuff, and that's not really true. Not really my preferred style, but I like that too. I just like to be entertained by wrestling. And my preferred style would be this just physical guys, meat on meat pounding, but guys that can move. I don't want to just see very slow, ponderous, like a Mark Henry just hitting a dude with a forearm and not even like really stiff. That's not exciting at all to me. But these two big guys who are going all out and just really hitting each other, Sheamus fits in with these guys. I love it. This is the kind of wrestling I like. They really put over Gunther having, closing in on the longest title reign, which is cool. I know some people are like, oh, he can't beat Honky. I love Honky Tonk Man, but I mean, look, you have to realize things progress, and I'm not against Gunther beating the record. I love Gunther. I've been a fan of his ever since I saw him, Walter days. Got himself, lost a ton of weight. Honestly, when I first saw him after he lost weight, it was a little shocking. I was like, I don't know if he has the same appeal to me anymore, but still the same wrestler in the ring, and good for him. Much healthier lifestyle. And he still is a big dude. So great stuff. One thing though, because I assume since Vince is back, they have to say they start saying sports entertainer a lot, and I just always kind of whatever, don't really think about it too much anymore, except for when they were saying about Gunther. Like Gunther, wants to be the greatest sports entertainer, live, and I'm like, come on, like of all people, you can't say Gunther wants to be a great sports entertainer. But yeah, Bob Cook, great Summerslam. Well, this match was awesome. Gunther and Drew McIntyre, two big dudes just pounding each other. Very hard-hitting, very physical. It's the kind of wrestling I like. Big Gunther fan. And Drew McIntyre. I hope Drew McIntyre, I hope he does well. If he doesn't stay here, I hope he goes somewhere and is used well. But get rid of the sword. I don't think a guy carrying a big sword... It's just kind of silly because, like, what is he supposed to do with it? He's going to cut a guy's head off? But, yeah, I love this match. I was going to say, might be my favorite match. This or the Cody match is probably my favorite. This might just be my favorite. I loved it. So then we had, they showed a thing for the Seth Rollins Finn Balor match. I was just like, what in the hell is Seth Rollins wearing? It was like this chainmail, like, gown or something. I don't know. I don't understand the Seth Rollins character. But it's super over. Everyone loves it. I just see him, I think, why? I don't understand it. He laughs like the Joker, and he wears goofy stuff. I don't get it. But who am I to argue? The fans are going nuts for it. He came out there and he just stood there for like 2 minutes as the crowd, like, we're just going nuts for him. So I was like, okay, I guess they love the guy. I thought it was funny. Finn Balor comes out and he's got 7 written on his shoulder. And Michael Cole said, well, his tattoo rep. I was like, that's a tattoo? He got that terrible writing tattooed on him? But it wasn't. It was just marker or whatever. But he did say tattoo, and I was like, what the hell? That's worse than the Cody Rhodes tattoo. But no, it's cool because 7 years ago, Seth Rollins beat Finn Balor for the Universal title. Does not seem like 7 years ago, does it? Crowd was like just so into this. And then, so it started off, I thought it started off, honestly, kind of slow, but like a classic match back in the day. It built, and then I was into it. Honestly, I thought it was kind of boring to begin with, but it really, when they started having, all the shenanigans going on, matches picking up, Damian Priest comes down there with the Judgment Day, has the briefcase. You think maybe he's gonna cash it in or whatever, but actually, Seth Rollins curb stomps Finn Balor on the briefcase for the victory. Then we had I know it's just like an ad, but my God, was this horrendous. It was like some kind of ad about Mike's Hard Lemonade, and it was like Otis, and they were talking about the definition of Mike, and I was like, I don't know what the hell this means, but it was bad. But, I mean, I understand it's just a commercial for lemonade, but good Lord, was that bad. Charlotte versus Asuka versus Bianca Belair. I'm a huge Charlotte fan, huge Asuka fan. I will admit Bianca Belair is very good in-ring wrestler. I cannot stand her. She comes out twirling the hair, skipping, and she just seems very pompous and unlikable. I don't really understand how she's a babyface. She seems like she should totally be a heel. I don't like the character whatsoever. They did a spot where, honestly, because it was smart, because they threw Bianca over the top. You heard the smash on the ring steps, but they didn't show it completely. So in my mind, I thought it really was worse than it was, and Bianca was selling it well. It's like, oh shit, she did get hurt. They take her out, and then a little bit later she comes in. So it was a planned spot, but I'm not here to like, aha, I'm so brilliant. I'm just saying they did a good job. I really thought, she was out of the match. So she came back in, and I was kind of surprised. She wins the world title. Bianca wins the title, and then immediately, what's her name? Io Sky runs in with the Money in the Bank, and I thought it was for sure going to be one of the few times someone cashes in Money in the Bank and loses. But she cashes in Money in the Bank. She hits her in the leg with the briefcase, hits her in the head, gives her the moonsault, and wins. I'm not a fan of Money in the Bank. I think it's just played out. The first couple years it was fine, but it's basically the same thing now for like 15 years. Someone has it, and like this, they just run in and use it to get a quick victory. Usually if they're a heel. If they're a babyface, I think a babyface winning it is worse, because a babyface should really overcome to win the title, not just run in and cash it in after someone had a grueling match. It is more of a heel thing, and I'm not saying the idea isn't bad. It's just we know what happens every year. It's an annual event, so it's like an ongoing angle every year with two people now, with a man and a woman. And I've not liked it for a while. I like the match, and I get all the idea, but I just don't really like the angle of someone has the Money in the Bank and can just come in and win. All right. So then the big Reigns match, the one I was waiting for. Obviously, a great storyline. I can't remember the name of it, but who's the head of the table, the bloodline angle. You've got Paul Heyman as the wise man. You've got all the stuff going on with the family members. So good for Jey Uso. I've always been an Uso fan, and I never thought ever the Usos would be main eventing a pay-per-view, either as a tag team or however. But never would I have ever guessed Jey Uso would be in the main event of not even like a secondary pay-per-view, SummerSlam, one of the top 3 or 4, whatever they are now, pay-per-views, in a huge show, doing gangbuster ratings, successful on every level, versus Roman Reigns. Never thought I would see him main event. I really thought there's probably almost no shot that he would win. Not even just the idea that Jey Uso would be world champ, but you spent these years now on building Roman Reigns as the champ. The payoff being Jey Uso beating him, I didn't really foresee that happening. And even as big as SummerSlam is, I assume it'll probably happen at WrestleMania when it happens. But I mean, who knows? All that being said, the crowd's into this. You have all the storyline. But these matches are just not for me. Because I think they've progressed or evolved into something that doesn't really even... This is more something that doesn't resemble wrestling to me than a lot of modern stuff that other people will say it's too much flips and all this stuff. That still looks like wrestling to me. It might be a little different where I can tell the guys are working together. I will agree with that. But this has evolved not the typical storytelling of a match where someone gets heat and they come back and all the things, the baby face gets the heel gets the heat on the baby face, he makes his comeback, then they cut him off and all these things. It's not so much a storytelling of a wrestling match. It's this weird storytelling of it's like a physical soap opera, which again, people say that's what wrestling is anyway. But it involves like multiple people and just people being pummeled with weapons. And this is what the Roman Reigns matches always are lately. Like that Sami Zayn thing. That was great at the time, but this is very reminiscent. And I just don't get it. I don't really enjoy it. I don't think it has much replay value. I could watch old wrestling matches from when I was a kid, and they're fun to get into, and you could still get into them as a match. I don't know if these things would, in 20 years from now or 10 years from now, if you'd go back and watch this match, just out of place, without watching all the TV, would it hold up? I don't think so. I think it's just, I don't think without knowing all the storyline and stuff, these work as matches. I really think it's just evolved into some other thing where it's all one big, it's almost like a TV series, like Breaking Bad, where you can't, now normally wrestling, you could watch those matches out of order. Now you're going to get more out of them if you watch the bill and everything, but you can still watch them out of order, enjoy them. But series today, like Breaking Bad, you can't go, I'm going to go watch episode 2 of season 3 without watching everything else. It makes no sense. And I kind of think all these Bloodline matches are kind of like that. It's a series of a story as opposed to a match. And I don't know how else to explain it, but they just don't really work for me. And again, I recognize it's working. The ratings are amazing. They're doing every way you can you can rate either like the TV, the pay-per-views, their ad rates, all these things. I understand are through the roof. So I'm just saying it's not for me. I don't really get it. I don't enjoy it. I enjoyed the storyline, but when it gets to matches, I just don't really like them because they're not a match that I know of as a wrestling match. It's just like this big, they'll start wrestling and then it breaks down to like people standing there and talking. And it's like, am I going to do this? Or are you going to do that? And then beating people, like just beating them over and over and over with chairs. And then you're just waiting to see who's going to come out and what's the next swerve. And I don't like it. It's like it's like a play of some sort instead of a wrestling match. But again, the crowd loved it, and that's at the end of the day, that's what matters. Maybe this is the evolution of what wrestling will be. So that was SummerSlam. I can't say it was a bad show at all. Honestly, the only match, that match didn't work for me, but the crowd was into it, so I would never say it's a bad match. The only bad match would be Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey. It's really interesting that Becky Lynch and Trish was not on the show. Now, that was a built match to be on the pay-per-view. And to think Trish Stratus, a real legend in wrestling, one of the most famous women wrestler of the previous eras, come out of retirement. One is like a regular wrestler now, wins the title, and is going to face arguably the biggest women current draw in wrestling. At one point, I don't really think anymore, but there was one point she was a legit draw, Becky Lynch. And that didn't even get on the show. They cut it from the pay-per-view and put it on SmackDown. It's really, really interesting. I would think if you went through the show, you could have cut a couple minutes out of, I'm not saying there's really any match you just cut out, but you could probably cut a couple minutes out of some of the matches and at least put this on the show. Or put one of the other ones on the pre-show. Put the Battle Royal on the pre-show. I don't know. But I'm surprised it didn't make it here. So AEW Collision tonight. So big night of wrestling. I watched SummerSlam, DVR'd Collision. Right after SummerSlam, I turn on Collision. Collision's my favorite show of the week. And another great show. Last week, I was happy to see. I'm not a ratings guy. I don't really pay attention. But I'm happy when something does good. And I get, like, I want the shows to continue. So I was happy it did really, really well last week. Its biggest ratings. This week it will not because it's up against SummerSlam. But people think that means no one watches the show. And I don't think that's accurate because, like myself, I watch it on DVR. And that's how most people watch stuff today. Or maybe not most, but a lot of people watch stuff today. This show, so last week we were wondering, like, man, we got All In coming up. We got All Out coming out. Back to back, no matches. They're really going all in now, promoting these matches, which is great. So we found out a couple matches tonight, which I'm really excited about. I love how Collision starts, very old school wrestling. You have the promos that are putting over the important matches, like the two big matches tonight, and then you go into the actual intro. I like all that. We start off with two guys that I'm not fond of, Big Bill and Brian Cage, and I'm going to give these guys all the credit in the world. They've improved vastly. Big Bill's in the best shape I've ever seen him in. Brian Cage always in great shape, but he's showing more charisma, more personality in the ring, better facial expressions. I also think he's been taken to heart criticism of doing all the lucha moves and the flips, and he's actually working like a big man with a couple moves, a couple flips. That's cool. Do a couple of them in the match. It's impressive. And then Big Bill's really works like a big man. And this is a team that is completely different than any other team in AEW. So we've got a few high-flying guys. We got the pure wrestling teams like FTR. We could kind of, I don't know if you put pure wrestling, I mean, maybe like pure wrestling with the Bullet Club Gold, and then you've got the Acclaimed, which are just great, charismatic guys on the mic. You got the Young Bucks, which is high-flying guys too, but can also do other styles. But you don't have the classic big monster team, and now you have one. And so FTR really knew how to work with these guys and tell a story. They kept getting their moves thwarted because these are big dudes. They couldn't hit them on them. I like that. They had to resort to cheating a couple times. Like Big Bill had Cash. I think it was Cash in a bear hug, and he had to bite him to get out of it. Just basic stuff was really good. Is it Cash? Dax. No, Dax had a Loverboy Dennis jacket on, Loverboy Dennis Condrey. I don't know where he got that. If that's actually a Dennis Condrey jacket from back in the day. That's pretty sweet. There was a weird move. Cage went for a press slam on Dax, and it just looked like he just threw him on top of himself for a pin. I didn't really understand what happened there. They went to do the Shatter Machine early on Big Bill, but he's just too big. Just did a great job. They did a great job, even in losing, of putting these guys over as big badasses. So even though they lost, because I think you could argue, and I would argue this, it's probably too early to even do this match because they're starting to get over, and maybe you'd want to build them to a title match. But I understand because you got the big pay-per-view coming up. But you could definitely do a rematch down the road. So I hope they stay together, and this isn't the end of Big Bill and Cage. I do not like the name, the Battling Buddies. I guess it's a play on the old Wrestling Buddies. I don't know. It's not a good name. It's corny, and these guys shouldn't have a cornball name. I believe it was Cash's mom was in the front row. She kind of no-sold Bill when he's yelling at her and beating her son up, but then she did slap him, which I thought was pretty cool. Bill did a great clothesline, really, really strong, powerful clothesline. I like that. Nice hot tag to Dax. On Collision, they actually are doing hot tags. It'd be something I noticed, they really don't know how to do them in wrestling lately anymore, but on Collision I see it a lot. Great punches. I noticed Dax throws great punches. They did the old top rope bulldog that the Steiners used to do. They hit that a Cage for a near fall. And then there was an awesome move by Brian Cage. So Brian Cage has, I think he has Dax on his back. For airplane spin kind of thing. And then Wheeler dives off with a body press, and he catches him. And I know he's a big guy, but these are not tiny guys. These are like 230 pound, 240 pound guys. To have the one guy in the back and catch the other guy, that's really impressive. They did a combination where Cage hit a choke slam. I think Big Bill hit the choke slam and Cage hit the jackhammer. I thought maybe we're getting a surprise title switch. If it wasn't for the big match coming up to All In, I don't think that would have been a bad idea to do a surprise title change here, and then maybe FTR winning back. But because we do have the big match coming up, I think this is the right move. But was a good near fall. I actually thought maybe they would win. Big boot from Bill for another near fall. They went for the Doomsday Device, but they broke that up. We had "This is awesome" chant. And then we had the Shatter Machine for the pin on Brian Cage. Really great match. The best match by far of Big Bill and Brian Cage's career that I've ever seen. And just a continuation of great tag matches by FTR. And great stuff on Collision. And then we go to the promo. And I remember the other week when they were booing and Dax was kind of thrown off. But not tonight. Crowd was into it, and these guys knew what they wanted to say and really got it out there. And they put over all the great things they've done. The trilogy of matches with them boys, the Briscoes. The 2 out of 3 match that went almost an hour with Bullet Club Gold. Beating these two big bastards, all this great stuff. One thing they need to do, they need the Young Bucks. The final match, they've wrestled twice. They split up. Bucks won one. FTR won the other. Got to do it. Last time. Who's the best tag team? And what better place to do it? Wembley Stadium. Awesome. This is a huge match for Wembley, and they needed some big matches, and they got one here. We already have Adam Cole MJF I'm looking forward to. And FTR and Young Bucks. And I think the people who talked about like why didn't they ever do this? They were idiots, never doing the third match. They would have never had a bigger platform to do it than Wembley, 80,000 people. So honestly, they could have known that back then, but in the long run, it turned out for the best to have this match coming up now. Bullet Club Gold promo in the back. I'm a big fan of these guys, the whole group. I think it's really helping the Guns too, being with Jay White and Rock Hard. It's a good group. Mercedes Martinez versus Chris Statlander for the TBS title. It started out, and I was like, oh, I don't know about this, because Martinez was throwing like really weak elbows. I was like, wow. And then immediately after that, she started like doing really cool looking palm strikes that were hitting and did through some good punches after. I was like, oh, all right. Maybe it was just, there were some weak strikes at the beginning, and I was like, I don't know about this. But it ended up being really good. She did a spot where she almost like a fish hook, but with like the nostrils in the mouth, which I kind of like that. Mercedes Martinez and the ref, stopped that. It was good commentary because I think it was honestly a mistake by Statlander because she's supposed to have the bad knee, but then she did like a dive and then she did a backbreaker outside the ring on her own knee, and I thought that was really smart of the commentators to kind of save that because they're like, oh, she's sacrificing her own knee to try to hurt Mercedes, and I thought that was they do that a lot on Collision. They either will explain stuff that you might not understand, or maybe even put a little excuse in there for something that might not work. So really good stuff on the commentary team there. Really nice back rope, a top rope back suplex. Mercedes Martinez with her legs were still hooked on the ropes and did on Statlander. Really nice, very really physical. I like that. She went for a Fisherman Buster. Mercedes went for a Fisherman Buster. And Statlander reversed into like a twisting Fisherman's Buster. That was cool for 2 count. There was like a wheelbarrow spot to get reversed. And I honestly think Statlander didn't kick out. She was supposed to kick out at 2. But I don't think she really did. But anyway, it wasn't supposed to be the finish. But then there was a weird botchy, like the end was kind of botched. Because like Mercedes Martinez, she was going to go for like some kind of forearm, but it was like real slow motion. And like it was clear she was missing. And then Statlander rolled her up and did a bridge, which was nice for the pin. But it was unfortunate because I actually thought it was very good until that weird end. It was just kind of botched. Mercedes Martinez said she kicked out. She was, screwed out of this match. Diamante ran in. I'm not really sure who she is, but the commentators told us anyway. And so you think she was going to help out, but instead she joins them, Mercedes Martinez, in beating down Chris Statlander. That was cool. And then Willow Nightingale comes out to save, and so that sets that up. Another thing on Collision, people usually save people. They don't just sit there and get beat down forever. So, a lot of people talk about the women's division, AEW. I actually think it's improved leaps and bounds. I don't know, Willow Nightingale's great. I'm a big fan of Tony Storm, Statlander. I don't know. I think they've got a lot better people than they did. Tony Storm promo backstage. She's like very hysterical. It was a little on the cornball side for me. She had her hair in rollers, but it was kind of fun. Her and Tony Schiavone. Samoa Joe versus Serpentico. And Joe just comes out and fucking destroys Serpentico. I was like, hell yeah, no, that's pretty sweet. I don't need to see Serpentico in like a long match with Samoa Joe. This is what you needed. And they put over as the fastest match in Collision history. No, it's only like 8 episodes in, but the fastest match in Collision history. And Joe then cuts a promo, and Joe is super over with this crowd every week as the baby face. I'm starting to think you just go full on heel with Punk. He's going to get the split audience anyway. The people that really like him are going to cheer anyway. But you try to force him as a baby face. Tonight's angle, maybe that will help out. But if not, I say just go with it. Because Punk is a fantastic heel. One of the best heels of modern wrestling. So it's not going to be like a detriment. But Joe, they love Joe. I love Joe. I'm glad to see Joe doing well. And so really great promo. Calls out Punk for Wembley. And he talks about the legacy of Punk versus Joe. And a roll-up is no way to end this. A legacy, we need to continue this. And I was like, this is good stuff. I want to see it. Final match, Samoa Joe. CM Punk, Wembley Stadium. Now, the only problem for me is he's calling him out as the champ. And he's got the title match later tonight. Kind of tells you who's winning tonight. Joe he's fighting Ricky Starks tonight. Joe didn't say, I want the winner of Punk. Ricky Starks said, I want the champ Punk at all. I guess that's my issue there. But besides that, great stuff. But I assume now we won't be getting the Punk versus the Elite. It does give me hopes, because then we have All Out the week. Is it the week after? Does All In. We get Joe. Joe Punk is great. Does something on this show set up for All Out. Punk versus Kenny Omega, or Punk and FTR versus. I hope so. We got to do it. Don't pussyfoot around this, guys. Man up. You're getting paid millions of dollars now. Y'all resign. Be men. And do the match. Oh, we got an Andrade video at the Mask. This is fine. No Miro tonight, which was a little weird because like it set up last week. But we had a Acclaim sit-down interview with Tony Schiavone. They still had Billy's boots. They're saying that Billy told them he blames himself for them losing the tag belts and also blames himself for them not winning the trios titles. Bowens was crying during this, so I assume this is going somewhere. I can't imagine we just never see Billy Gunn again. I hope he, maybe he comes out for one last match, his retirement match in Wembley, the three of them. Three of them versus House of Black. I don't know. We'll find out. House of Black versus Darius Martin, Big Shoddy Lee, and Action Andretti. Now, all three. So this starts them, and I'm kind of rolling my eyes. It's like basically the three J Brones. Why? Last week they were tagging with Vikingo and lost. So why would the next week they get a different guy and get a title shot? So 6-man people have never wrestled before have a title shot. Now, the match itself, I actually really enjoyed. It was fun. But as a title match, it's ludicrous. The House of Black rule sucks. I like House of Black, actually. I think they're more motivated on Collision. House of Rule stuff, just drop this stuff. It sucks. For everything about it. Like the house rules, why do they give a special advantage to their opponents? Why would anyone do this? So they're like, you got to kick Julia Hart here out. So I think they're the House of Black are heels, but they give the baby faces an advantage. Like, why? And then they overcome anyway. The stupid stuff going on in the Titantron sucks. The idea that just 3 random people can just walk out, never tagged before, and can get a title shot sucks. This thing sucks. And I like House of Black. But I mean, like the Acclaimed worked their way to get a title shot, but then why? If 3 guys that never even tagged could just walk out and get a title shot. It's not good. It's not good booking. Why? I mean, this would have been really easy fix. You could have had these 3 guys, Darius, Shoddy Lee, and Action Andrade. They could have had a match last week or a match this week. Don't do this match this week. They could have wrestled 3 other guys this week. They win. You say, oh, now they get a title shot next week. Okay, that's fine. At least they won a match. But 3 guys who never wrestled together before just come out and they get a 6-man title match. It just sucks. It makes this title seem stupid. And it's a title that I like. I actually like the idea of a trios title. But not if you don't have a division of trios guys and you just do random people. That's not good. But that being said, very good match. As a match, very good. Great hard knees. Brody was super over with this crowd. These guys are basically baby faces. The crowd loves them. Lots of like tossing people around. It was kind of weird because they did this big toss, and Brody Lee just pound. So the Buddy and Malachi tossed I don't know who did they toss, Andrade, and Brody just nails him. I was like, wow, that was a pretty sweet finish. No, it wasn't Buddy. It was Shoddy Lee. It wasn't. So let me rephrase this. It was Buddy and Malachi. They tossed Shoddy Lee into Brody just smashing the dude, and I thought it was over. But then Andrade does a 450 splash for the breakup, which that's a cool move, but it's ludicrous to use that move to break up a pin because those extra rotations honestly takes another second, and it's like. Why would you do this big fancy move when you're urgently trying to break up the pin? It's just too much. That extra stuff didn't add; it took away. It made it look kind of just stupid. But yeah, lots of crazy. I like this stuff just throwing people around. If Andrade Action got like launched into these great double knees into the face, and then into Lamb was slaughtered for the pin. So as a match, is very good. I don't like the House of Black rules and just random teams getting title shots. And then just out of the blue, they announced one of the biggest matches on Collision next week. Punk and FTR versus the House of Black for the Trios title. That's an awesome match, very exciting. But, like, wow, how did you do that no build? And I I don't know, but I'm looking forward to it. But I definitely think that would be something you could have built weeks of television to. Pretty cool, though. Very cool. I'm really looking forward to it. I assume it's just probably set up something to pay-per-view, and we're running out of time, so they probably have to get there quick. But either way, I'm really looking forward to it. So then we had Hobbs was backstage with Tony Schiavone. And so then, what's his name comes out? QT Marshall immediately breaking up the very, very old AEW stuff where a guy just they're immediately interrupted during their promo. I don't really remember what happened there. He just came out. I have my notes here. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. So QT had like these gifts for Hobbs. I really wish they'd just have Hobbs turn face, and that was the end of it. I don't like them QT trying to get him back. Just he used their face, and that's it now. So he gave him like a bunch of gold chains, which I thought was almost racist, really. Like he just wants these, I don't know, he's Mr. T or something. And then he said, and I'll help you get your biggest victory ever at All Out in Chicago. So it's so weird that All In and All Out are a week apart. So they got to like build two pay-per-views at once, basically. But never really went into any type of like detail what this meant. But he just walked away. So I don't know. This wasn't great. Jay White versus Grand Metalik. Now, this was not quite a squash, but basically a squash, but not a squash. It was fairly competitive, but it was like Grand Metalik isn't like a job guy, but he's not a guy that's going to beat it, someone important. Fine to me. I like Jay White, but they're really getting into a dangerous territory here. The last couple weeks on Collision, they're really going down some WCW Nitro territory here, where they're starting to establish that all the luchadors are job guys for like the quote-unquote real wrestlers. I mean, Serpentico, sure. Gravity last week, okay. Grand Metalik, I don't know. Every time now we see a masked lucha guy, they're just a job dude. I don't know if that's the really the route you want to go. Let's see here. And the Guns joined on commentary. That was fun. Jim Ross comes out. That was very cool to see. Good old JR. It's good to see him doing well after, last time he's not, and he had the black eye and stuff. So, and if you're going to use him sparingly, I think it's a right way to do it in main events. Because if it's a match, especially if it's a match he's into, he can add drama, and it makes him seem important. Ricky Steamboat came out. I really like this. Ricky Steamboat came out, shook hands of Riccaboni and Nigel, and Jim Ross went for the handshake. But Ricky went around the table. He's like, no, a hug. And I really had the feeling all week, they're like, Ricky Steamboat, he's the, perennial babyface. Good guy, calls it right down the middle. You have him ref. No shenanigans are going to happen. I was like, aha, Ricky Steamboat's turning heel. But no, he called it right down the middle, which honestly it was nice to see. Dueling chants for both guys. That's cool. That makes for fun television to me. Punk's involved in multiple feuds. You got him and Starks. You got the Joe's calling him out. You've got the Trios title next week. And then looming around is MJF, who's the real world champion. Some people might say this is bad. I like it. I like it because Punk is an important guy in the show. Everyone should, he should be involved in big stuff. And also, other people should want to take him out because you'd want to take out the top guy. So I like all this stuff. It keeps stuff interesting because you don't know where the matches are going, who's going to, what sets up for what. I like it. Plus, it's also, you have the built-in excuse like Punk, where is Punk's mind in this? Because he's also worried about Joe, and he's worried about MJF and the Trios belts and all this stuff. Nice shout out to Mongo. That was nice. Some nice jabs, I thought, by Punk. Cool series of moves, a lot of stuff that we've seen, the Punk stuff, which I like. The different, the neck breakers and all this stuff. The fans really started to boo Punk at one point, and I just really think, just where I wrote in my notes, like, just go heel with Punk. I mean, he's my favorite, but I don't know. We'll have to see if this turns the crowd or not. But if they keep booing every week, if there's more boos than cheers every week, if it's mixed, it's always going to be mixed. But if it's more boos every week, I just say have him. He's fun when he calls it out and starts attacking the crowd or whatever. Just run with it. So it was going to go for like the Macho Man elbow. He looked cool. Punk standing on the top rope. Starks get up and he went for the body block, but it was kind of botched. He like went a little high, a little over him, I think, over Starks. Not a big deal. But he botched it, and then it was funny because Jim Ross goes, "That looked bad for both guys." And I'm like, come on, JR. We know it did, but I don't know if you're supposed to. I know you're a commentator, but I don't know if you're supposed to just call out stuff looking bad. Punk drops a knee pad, and he went to like do the running knee in the corner, but he was caught by Starks into a pretty sweet powerbomb. Fans really into this, thinking that might have been the end. Punk, great kick to the head. Honestly, that was probably a better kick than like the kicks we saw in the fake MMA match with Rousey. That we start to get the "This is awesome" chant. Punk goes for the pile driver. It gets reversed into Alabama Slam by Starks. In the melee, Starks knocks the ref out, inadvertently. Steamboat's outside of the ring, watching. It was a little odd because Starks goes for the pin even though there is no referee there, and he puts his feet up on the ropes, and Ricky Steamboat like throws him off. So he's like, I'm the good guy. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then Punk rolls up Starks, and Ricky dives in there and counts 3 with the roll up. And then Starks just is shocked and pissed. He's like, I can't believe Ricky Steamboat. What are you doing? You're breaking up my feet on the ropes. And Starks attacks Steamboat. So he he smashes Steamboat. Punk gets in there. He throws him out of the ring. Starks takes the belt off the old dragon, old man Steamboat, and starts whipping the old man. Punk keeps trying to get in there, and he's breaking him out. And he finally gets in with the chair and breaks it up. This was great. And they stuck with it, which is important. I remember in early AEW days, I'd always talk about, like, a guy would win a title or do a cool angle. They'd immediately cut backstage or cut to a break or cut to the next match. And you want that minute to soak in what just happened. Soak in that this is the legend who got beat down by this dastardly young guy who's an asshole. This is good stuff. You suck chance. Maybe this will be the stuff that will get Punk cheered by the majority of the fans. But again, if it doesn't, just run with it because Punk's a great heel and it'll be good for TV too either way. And then Jim Ross says he's getting lashed like an animal. Jim Ross he is very violent towards animals. I don't know if he is, but he brings all his sayings like, beat like a government mule, lashing him like an animal, rabid like a wild coon. I don't know what's with Jim Ross. Like he's just like he likes. I don't know if he likes it, but maybe he grew up where animals were beat all the time. But it's weird, man. Jim Ross is invited back, and big stuff for coming up on Dynamite. The Hardy Boys versus the Young Bucks. Big stuff on Collision. So next week, I think we'll probably be some loaded shows leading into All In and All Out, which is very exciting. Really great show. So a great night of wrestling, SummerSlam and Collision. Probably other stuff. I don't know, but 2 big shows. That was like 6 hours of wrestling, and I watched it all. I had a good time. So yeah, check it out. Let's see here. So like I said, this one's gonna stay up live. I normally put these on for the Headyverse members. This one I'm going to keep up. It'll be a free one for you guys. And Big shout out to our Headyverse members. We got Travis Sandow, Craig Jolly, Stephen Butler, Raider Dre. Then we got Hall of Famers, Steven Simmons, Simply Ravishing, Mikey B, Vic Schiavone, Brian Clutter, Daddy Pool on YouTube, Double Guns, The Geek Getaway, and Tech Dingoes. And of course, we could not do the show without our producers, Bruce Cirksena and El Santos World. So if you would like to help out and help the channel and help In Your Head, please join the group. Become a member here. It starts only $3. You get all different perks. Check those out. Also, iWatchWrestling.com, InYourHeadOnline.com are both back up and running. So go over there and join them. The websites, they were down for almost a year now, and they are back up and running. So help out. Go over there. Listen to the show. Subscribe on Spotify or YouTube. Those are the two main places, but wherever you get your podcast will work. All right. I'm going to head out. Thank you, guys. Oh, let me see. I don't think it's... I did the show without real notice and in the middle of the night, so I doubt anyone's sending questions, but let me check. No, they did not. But yeah, I don't normally do this late, but I had to watch the shows back to back. I usually do it right after Collision. Let's see. Next week, I probably will not do a Jackie Jones show after Collision. I'll try to do one sometime during the week. I'm going to be doing, next week will be Saturday Night Frights over in Without Your Head. So we're going to show a horror film, Bathtub Shark Attack. So it'll be a live movie, full-length feature film, and then a live Q&A after. That'll be good time, so join me for that. And I'll be going away at the end of this month. I'm going to set up. I'll try to do some shows here and there if possible. If not, I'll be back in like a week and a half, and things will return to normal. All right, guys. Join us live Tuesday for In Your Head Wrestling Radio. Me and Incher will be back to talk all about the wrestling. All right. So until then, this is Jackie Jones. This is In Your Head. This is the Jackie Jones Show. Help support In Your Head. Join the Headyverse. Subscribe. Hit the icon. Not this icon, the little bell icon. And share this out to all your friends.
Andre the Giant. Andre was big, yeah, yeah, yeah. It was not small, no, no, no. Andre could drink, and he could fight. Drink, 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 and a fight, fight, fight. Andre was big, yeah, yeah, yeah. It was not small, no, no, no. Andre could drink, and he could fight. Drink, 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 and a fight, fight, fight. Andre the Giant. Andre was big, yeah, yeah, yeah. It was not small, no, no, no. Andre was great, he was not bad. A great big heart and a great big man. Andre was big, yeah, yeah, yeah. It was not small, no, no, no. Andre could drink and he could fight. Drink, 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 and a fight, fight, fight. Andre the Giant.
From Grenoble, France.